Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Big Heat from 1953, starring Glenn Ford, Lee Marvin, and some dude that I always see in playing some bad guy on the old Superman TV show with George Reeves. I'm going to have to look up his name and put him in the description box. Anyway, this is noir. It's directed by Fritz Lane, and it ranks as one of the top noirs of all time, in my mind. We're talking Asphalt Jungle, The Killing, Gun Crazy, Laura, The Big Sleep, which I always get confused with this movie, mainly because the first two letters of this movie are the same as The Big Sleep. And what are some other ones? Nightmare Alley. Did I say Laura? And Double Indemnity, of course, I can't forget that one. That's probably the granddaddy of them all, but anyway. Yeah, it ranks up there with all those that I mentioned, and it just starts off with some dude looking like he shot himself in the head. But it's off camera, of course. You just see the gun and his head fall on the desk, which is pretty cool. I like the off-camera censorship type stuff from the 50s. Like in Double Indemnity, they you know that they're having sex, but the only scene you see is the afterwards scene when Barbara Stanwyck is smoking a cigarette on the couch. So everything else is off screen, and you have to use your imagination, and it's like that a lot in this film. There's a lot of off-screen violence, you know, coffee getting thrown on the face, or cars blowing up. Yeah, there are a lot of good kills in this, a lot of good kills. It's basically about Saturday Evening Post serial. I'm not a big fan of Fritz Lang, I have to admit, mainly because I haven't seen too many of his movies. I did see him in that ridiculous Godard flick, which I absolutely hated, with Bridget Bardot and that American actor, forget his name, he does the Ripley's Believe It or Not, and he's in a bunch of B movies, but Jack Palance is his name. Now I remember. Yeah. So I hated that movie. I didn't really care for Metropolis that much. When I was a kid, my stepdad loved M. And I've seen clips of M. It looks interesting, but I haven't actually found an interest to watch it all the way through. Or maybe I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember what I saw when I was a kid. All I remember was that I didn't like it. So that's a scoop on Fritz Lang. I think he became a better director with Big Heat just because of the storyline. Yeah, there's great cinematography, though. I do have to give him some credit. It's a dark, kind of menacing flick, especially when you got police corruption involved. And yeah, my only two complaints is that he tries to play up the middle-class police officer underdog guy, which is fine. I mean, Glenn Ford does a great job of sticking to his guns, so to speak. It's interesting that he's been around so long, these criminal gangs, that he can actually speak their language, or trick them into doing what he wants. And that sort of sums up the title of the movie too, because he tells the blackmailer that she's done. The garbage can lid is off, and the big heat is coming down, which sort of sums up the entire movie. It's kind of a tug of war between gangsters and Glenn Ford, who realizes that there's police corruption. And it's interesting too because his wife ends up getting blown up in a car, and then one of the patsies, played by Lee Marvin, his girlfriend, sort of falls in love with him because he's standing up for his wife, I guess, and she admires his wife because she's in love with him. So, kind of cool flick. I haven't seen Lee Marvin in too many movies, but I know he's in a lot of them, especially during the 70s, I guess. So I'll be looking forward to see him in more movies. I didn't know he was in 50s noir stuff like this, but he's great, and so is Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford plays a tough macho guy who slowly unravels the police corruption, gangster ring type deal, and I guess he plays a sergeant who's investigating the apparent suicide. He thinks it's a murder, but he gets in trouble with his superiors because they're trying to cover it up for the gangsters and whatever. They're getting their moolah, their little payola. So that was pretty cool. And then once his wife gets murdered, he just goes berserk and starts doing the vigilante stuff, which is cool. Yeah, we always like the vigilante type movies. And his wife seems like a typical American broad. She smokes cigarettes, drinks, and cooks steak and potatoes, which is interesting. I don't know how Fritz Lane ended up living so long on that kind of diet. And you can see him chain smoking in the Godard special features for that movie I mentioned that he was in. So yeah, I don't know how he stayed alive for so long, but I guess he's been around since the silent era, which is pretty cool. I guess he's one of the original innovators, and I didn't really care much for him before, but now I have some respect, definitely in this one. And I can see why Godard tried to rip off noir, mainly Fritz Lang and Samuel Fuller, in his early movies. So yeah, I would have done the same damn thing if I was in Godard's shoes, but unfortunately Godard doesn't have much talent in my opinion, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of French cinema new wave. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. So Lee Marvin's girlfriend gets scalded with coffee in the face, and she's fed up of being tortured by Lee Marvin. So she's looking for a new boyfriend, and of course Glenn Ford is a tough guy that everybody likes. So heck, why not shack up in his hotel room? Anyway, she doesn't look too attractive when she takes the bandage off. You know what I mean? She peels it off at the. And it's a pretty good ending, actually. It's about seeking what is it? it's kind of like I Confess. You're kind of seeking redemption in this one after the mob uh, took your job and your wife away. Yeah, cool stuff, man. I definitely give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm starving, man. I just did some laundry here. I got my Martha Stewart towel all nice and clean. And I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm gonna cut this video short and get some Burger King, man. I'm starving. Laters.